anything you want to mention or any advice you want to give to the aspiring entrepreneur listening to this podcast that's thinking about starting something? I know that's like, we could do an hour conversation on that topic.
Yeah. For sure.
But two or three points you want to bring up?
Yeah, I will. I got this advice from a mentor of mine whose name is Ben, and he runs a successful company out in Boston now. But when I was sort of in between things and trying to think about what was my next business, his advice was, Ed, pick something you care about and that you're passionate about, and just go deep into it. Just spend time immersing yourself in that world. And that can mean a lot of different things. In the healthcare world, it could be, I'm interested in, improving emergency room care, and therefore I'm going to go shadow ER docs or volunteer in the ED, and just spend time immersing yourself. In his case, it was, he runs a meditation business, and he went to Tibet and spent time with the monks and just immersed himself in that culture and said, what can I learn from this? And so I think that's really stuck with me, because I think when you go deep enough into something, you're going to see problems, things that need solved, in areas that you can make an impact. So every one of us has a passion, and it's quite different for each of us, which makes the world fun. And so kind of figuring out what is that passion of yours, go deep in that, and see where it leads you. I think the other point that I'd make is think a lot about the support structure that you have around you, and kind of, this is hard. Like, it's really hard, and it is a complete roller coaster. Like, even now is where we're by no means a stable business, but we're past that product market fit, and we're into the scaling phase. It's like, man, is it a roller coaster where you think a deal is going to come in and all of a sudden it's dead, or you think this is going to happen, and it's so up and down that you have to be able to afford yourself the ability to feel those emotions. You can't bottle it up, because if you bottle it up, you go crazy and you explode. So you've got to either have someone you can share that with, whether that's a partner, a family, a mentor, somebody like that, but really think about, how do you surround yourself with people who can be supportive and who are willing to be supportive of what you're doing, so that you have those places to bring your concerns. Because when you start a business and you're the leader, as much as you want to think you're the most approachable person in the world, which I think I am, it's lonely at the top, because ultimately you're responsible, and there's things that you just can't go and tell your employees, hey, I'm wondering about, what are we going to do with cash because it's running low. You can't go tell people that. And so it's useful to have that support around you.
This is why CEOs always have a bond when they talk to each other, right? Or founders, when they're talking to each other over beers or coffee or whatever, there's always this little bond, because you're right. Until you've been in the captain's chair and you felt that amount of pressure, it's just really hard to explain that to employees. Like, you just don't get it. Even spouses, I think, don't truly understand everything that you kind of go through from a pressure perspective. So I definitely know what you mean. Very important to have people you can talk to. By the way, does your wife ever look at you and say, hey, listen, yeah, this is kind of cool and all. I'm glad you're having fun working on this, but when are you going to start getting paid?
It really hasn't come up, which I'm lucky about. And I think it's because we've built so much trust in our relationship. Yeah. We talk a lot about it. We talk about where we are and where we're going. And I think there's a lot of ways to kind of gain, I don't know what the right word is, psychic income from life. And I think, some people are motivated by money, and that's great. Money's great. You can do a lot with it. If you get wealthy, look what Bill Gates is doing. He's changing the world. He's changing third world countries. Those are great things that he's doing. I find that a lot of people, especially, people say a lot of stuff about millennials, right? And they're, millennials are hard to work with. They want everything, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you what, millennials are mission focused, and they're mission driven, and they get a lot of, they feed their souls, and I'm generalizing here, but out of doing good for the world. And I think that's a great gift that they're giving to society. And I think that, we're all in different places. And I think, in some ways, once you hit a certain amount of money, it's just kind of, it's just an extra dollar. And so I think thinking a lot about, who do you want to be as a person, and kind of where does that lead you? And there's a lot you can gain from doing good in the world, I think.
I love your comment there. You're right. I mean, really, after you make a certain amount, like once you get to a certain amount of money where you have food and water and shelter and a few hobbies and you're taken care of, like how much more do you really need, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah, there's a well-known economist who did a study on this, and they kind of measured people's happinesses with income. and
Mm,
I'm going to forget the cutoff, but I want to say it was somewhere around 75,000. Like
mhm.
if you make more than 75,000, you are no more happy
Right.
than that marginal dollar gives you no real increased happiness. So,
Yep.
that's not to say it's a little bit of money. I mean, 75 is a lot, but it's useful to know that I don't know. It puts things in perspective. Chasing that extra dollar doesn't always give you what you think it will.
I couldn't agree more. I'll use my own example. I was making, almost 300 grand a year as an executive at one point, running a couple of companies, before I started Riderflex. Well, I just tell you right now, when I started Riderflex, first couple of years, I made it a lot less.
Yeah, right, right.
And I was 100 times happier, 100 times
Yeah.
happier. Right. So
Yeah,
to,
I think that's right. I think being able to be self-reflective and understand what makes you happy and what gives you
mhm,
fulfillment. I
mhm,
find that autonomy is a big thing for me. Being able to
mhm,
control my
mhm.
schedule.
Yep. Yep.
And I find that's the same for a lot of employees. We've got one employee who has two young children. She's a working mother, and she takes the afternoons off to be with her kids, and she picks up in the evenings once they go to bed.
Mhm.
Great. Like we found
Great.
something that works.
Great.
Why do we need to stuff everybody into this mold of 9 to 5 workday, or at startups, it's more like, a 9 to 9 workday, but people are different. And I think you have to
Mhm.
realize what are the things you care most about, and how do you arrange your life to give you satisfaction on those? Otherwise, you're just, you're playing to society's norms, which doesn't work for everybody.
Another great point. Yeah, unless you have a call center type of deal where you're having to be available a certain amount of hours for customers calling in. Beyond that, the 9 to 5, sit in chair in a cubicle, certain times, at certain days, that really is kind of coming to an end. I know for us at Riderflex, same thing. It's like, look, just listen. Here's the deal: complete the searches, make sure the
Yep.
client's happy. I don't care where you work from. I don't care when you work. Just get it done.
Yep. Yeah, I think I think COVID's changed that. I think you're right. 5 days a week in the office is gone, or
Yeah.
largely gone.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that's going to be a net good for a lot of people.
If you think today's tip or guest interview can help someone you know, please share this with them. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. The Riderflex podcast features entrepreneurs, business executives, and the stories behind how they got there, as well as daily tips on career advice and job interviewing. You can visit riderflex.com to learn more about us and get information and pricing on the recruiting and consulting services we provide. Thanks so much for listening and have a great day.